What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another solo leveling Arise video. All right, guys, let's talk about it. Hansi me, hands in my pants. Hansi got plants in my hands. We are going to talk about whether she's worth it, number one. And number two, if she is worth it, what is she good for? And how far do you want to take her? As usual, we did the full data analysis. We did a full test. You guys can check out the live stream. I'm currently actually looking at the live stream now. So we're going to go over some of the things that makes her great, some of the things that makes her limited, and whether she's going to be considered the best support or where she stands in the terms of the support hierarchy. So first things first, she is going to be Mirai's Meilin, essentially, right? How Meilin is to Alicia, she is going to be that version for Mirai. So if you don't have a good Mirai, you're going to see a little bit of lackluster performance to some extent. But I will say this. She does bring an immortality at A3, which we'll talk about, and its limitations and how well it does. So first off, let's talk about some numbers, okay? Let's talk about some numbers and how it works. So we did the testing a little differently today. We took the testing to the brand new Battlefield of Trials Hunter mode, which actually gives us a wind elemental weakness for hunters. And I'm going to show you guys some of the numbers here, okay? So what we did today is we did 0 artifacts on and 0 weapons on Mirai. And then we did 0 artifacts and 0 weapons on Hansi me, okay? And I'll explain to you how the numbers looked and why they looked the way they did. So first off, we did just basic skill A2. So the overhead slash that she does, the skill that Mirai does. And we got very, very, very consistent numbers every single time. And I mean like every single time. You guys can go back and check it out anytime. It was perfect. It's exactly what you want to see as a tester. The numbers were always the same. So when we did Mirai with no artifacts and no Hansi me, skill 2 did 356k damage, 354, 354, and it was consistent all the way throughout with MP. So we're talking about full MP, first attack, okay? When it was like middle of the MP, it was 283. When it was low MP, it was 233. We stopped counting at that point. We're like, okay, you know what? Consistent enough. Let's just focus on the top end MP. All right, so bringing Hansi me into the mix, all right? So the first thing Hansi me does, just so you guys are aware, is this skill right here called Breath, right? So whenever she uses the Sharp Sprouts, Golden Meadows, and don't forget, Golden Meadows is not the same as Divine Field. Divine Field is her second skill. Golden Meadows actually is her support skill, okay? So whenever she uses her first skill, the Sharp Sprouts, which come out of the ground, when she uses the Golden Meadow, which is her her support skill, or Vines of Vitality, which is her ultimate, it grants the Breath buff. This can happen 2 times, but there is a 15-second cooldown for it to be cast again, so don't spam it. If you have the ult and the Vines, wait 15 seconds between each other to cast the second one so it stacks, right? And so what happens when she casts this, the basic skill damage increases by 10%. Now I want to talk about this real quick because a lot of people have mistaken the two things. So what a basic skill is not the attack right here. These are called basic attacks. Basic skills are the 2 skills that you can cast with your opponent, with your hunter. So these 2 skills are amplified by 10% for all users. The bonus here though is that the hunter also, who's win in this case, will also get a benefit, right? 1 second here. There it is. The win hunters will also get a benefit of an extra 5% stack. So let's look at some of these numbers that we captured, right? So we fought against wind weapon opponents in the Battlefield of Trials. So Mirai with no artifacts with Hansi me A0, 1 stack of buff, went from 356 to 396, roughly about 10 to 11%. So that was very accurate. And it stayed pretty much the same every single time we did it. Now, if you did it 2 times with 2 stacks, it went to 437 and it never went higher. It was a 437 pretty much the entire time. So consistency is key when you test. It worked perfectly well. So obviously, everybody benefits, okay? Now, I do want to point out something else real quick, just so you guys are aware. We did min as well, too, with punishment to see which one was better. For the win hunters, Hansi me was better because of that extra 5%, obviously. But with every other hunter, because 10% versus 15% damage with punishment, Min's punishment came out on top. Okay, so Min is overall the better universal character, but for wind characters, pretty obvious. She's built to be a wind character. Hansi me was way better. All right, so you guys can see some of the numbers there. So that's with 2 stacks. Now, we went further because A2 was pretty straightforward. It does work. So you guys can see some of my notes here as well in my spreadsheet. 1 sec here. Let me go to my spreadsheet real quick right here. Okay, you guys can see A2. No effect because the crit and the crit damage, or sorry, A1, we're going to A1. The work as intended, we noticed the crit rate and the crit damage was applied. This is technically the sweet spot for all free-to-play players, okay? And essentially what happens in this mode is you're going to end up seeing this icon right here. Let me just go to Hansi Mei. Where's the skill? You'll see this icon here, and it does actually increase your power gauge, does actually give you the crit hit and crit hit damage for 20 seconds, and it does reset. And then when she does that skill again, it'll obviously come up again. So whenever somebody does an alt, and this is why it's so good for Mirai, is because she gets her alt right away at A1 with, you know, second weapon, or A2 weapon, or A1 weapon, whatever the case may be. She's instantly able to do this and then be able to do it over and over and over and over again, allowing this buff to remain and keep feeding her the power gauge that she needs to get her alt back very quickly. So very, very good. This is where free to play needs to stop. We don't need to go any further. A2, obviously the HP increase doesn't do anything for like as a support. It's just from her survivability and a little bit more attack. Not a big deal on that one. And then A3, this is where it gets interesting. Okay, so this is where dolphins now start to become a little bit more like where you want to aim for. Okay, so we did a lot of testing with this. So we tried immortality on her team, so it does work, but you have to stay in the field. And just so you guys are aware, there was a typo. The actual spot that she needed to, the actual skill she needs to cast is her divine field, which is a skill 2, where you see that giant AoE that she does, the circle. If you're in it and you go down to 0 HP, you'll come back with 1 HP, you'll be immortal for a couple seconds, then you recover 30% of your HP, okay? This worked for all hunters. This did not work as a support. We tested it in many different formats, does not work as a support. So Jinwoo will not get immortality, just so you guys are aware. But it does work in raids and in guilds. So we tried it in Battlefield of Chaos, and every time she casted it, before I died, I got the 1 HP immortality as Jinwoo. So it only works in places like POD, guild fights, and places like Battlefield of Chaos, okay? So for those who are wondering where this is useful, that's where it is. It does not work as a support, okay? So just everyone's on the same page here. When you do her support skill, right here, the only thing you're gonna get out of it is the protection zone, which removes debuffs, and you're gonna get the mana increase and the shield, all right? But you will not get the immortality. It does not apply, just so everyone's aware, all right? You can see here they switched the 2 moves. Oh, sorry, I've been calling it golden medal. If this was, okay, holy shit, hold on. Let me take it back. This was called Divine Field earlier. They just switched it. They made an update. So this is now Divine Field. What I meant to say was Golden Meadow. All right? I apologize, guys. They're screwing it up here on me. So you actually want to cast Golden Meadow. So these 2 skills here will make a proc, but 15 seconds apart from each other. God damn it, Netmarble. You're messing up my video. Okay, anyway, so I'll put that in the notes right above, okay? So in this case, Divine Field, when I kept saying it, it meant Golden Meadow because they actually had the 2 skills names backwards and they just put a patch to fix it, all right? So that's how that works. So Immortality will work on Jinwoo only in raids, but not work as support, and all hunters will receive it, but you have to cast a skill and be in the actual field for it to proc. So for Dolphins, it's a great spot. Now, A4, you get I think it's a 14% or 12%. Double check. Oh, sorry, 10%. You get a 10% increase to damage. We tested that. The numbers were exactly where they need to be, so I'll show you guys the numbers right here. So we went from 397 with 1 stack of buff to 417, 418, 417. Very consistent. So that is a good place for whales to stop if you're looking to improve your actual win damage for Mirai. So this is where I would, you know, as Dolphins, it's up to you how much you want to spend. A3 is good. A4 is a bit better. A5, it's a huge difference. Instantly a huge difference. So Mirai damage went from 396 at A0 to 497. So you definitely can tell the difference in the damage. So you guys can see here, it grants the user 10% more damage. It also increases win damage by 20%. So pretty substantial difference there between the 2. You're almost looking at over 100k more damage from A0 to A5. So if you're a whale, obviously that's where you want to stop. Now the main question comes down to it, is she worth summoning for? So I'm going to be real with you guys. Here's my take on all support. I think all support should always be summoned for, right? At least have a copy, at least 1 copy to get you to where you need to be. Because when content comes out, you're going to need support to boost your DPS in order to beat timers, right? And I think that's super important. Where you can skip is usually breakers, but for support, I think they're no-brainers. DPS support, I think they're always must-haves. So I think that she worth summoning, yeah, absolutely. Especially if you have Mirai, she's a no-brainer. You have to go for her because she's just going to boost her damage that much more. Now, she's not going to replace Min or Meilin in their spots. They're also going to be there as universal units for their Min mostly for everybody, Meilin mostly for water, and Hansimi obviously for wind. So I would pull for her. Free to play, A1 is perfect. I think you should stop there. I don't think you need to go any further. For whales, obviously A5 and above. For dolphins, A3 and A4 if you want that little bit of boost of extra 10% wind damage, but that's up to you on that one. All right, guys, this is Payne. Thank you so much for watching. If you need to see her in action and all the testing that I did, I will put the link of my full video in the description. Go check it out. It's a 5.5-hour video. You guys can see all the new combat and everything that's going on. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.